I wish I had a viewfinder. Can you see us there?
Yeah, I see. It's great to be here. This really is an attic.
Yes, it is.
All right. Being in the circus.
My grandmother painted that.
Great. I didn't know you lived right next door to a calliope. It's really
Yes,
great.
it's there. They have it on wheels, and the wheels rotted and it's stuck in the alley. You know?
Now who's this?
That's Boris the spider.
All right.
All right,
My
we can.
favorite song. Sit down.
I just want to get your shot. We can turn this off.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
yeah,
right.
it wasn't the theme I had planned on, but it's the theme we ended up
Hey,
with.
sure thing.
But it works.
All right.
And
Why am I at the end of a hallway?
uh,
All right.
hallway.
Yes.
We're in the attic.
We're in the attic,
Van
okay.
Allen's attic.
There
As
you
you
go.
saw. I hope you saw the sign.
Yeah.
And
Looks
there it
good.
is.
All right. Well, welcome. Welcome.
We're back once again
Good
by
to see you.
popular demand or whatever.
Yeah.
And Kevin, Mr. Showbiz Kravitz,
That's me.
or Kaye Lazar, whatever.
Yeah.
Kaye Lazar. You know, that sounds like, and I'm Keith Van Allen.
Oh, this
by
is
the
Keith.
way.
This is the Van Allen of the Van Allen's attic. Your
Yeah.
first name's Van?
No.
No, Keith.
No, Keith.
I knew a guy named
It's a
Van.
Dutch name. It's a, all you know if you're Dutch with the little wooden shoes. Yeah, yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
really a whole bunch of mix of all kinds of old early American.
Are you
but
Dutch?
That's part of me. Yeah.
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 I've been to
Well,
Dutch land.
I'm more Van Loo than I am Van Allen, but
Van Loo?
it takes so long to explain my genealogy.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather, supposedly, my great grandfather was an Indian.
Yeah.
We're still trying to
From
prove-
India.
No, American India, yeah, whatever. Anyway, but he, after
Yeah.
the Civil War, he went looking for work and he left the kids on this farm with these friends he had made. And then he came back and he got another wife because his first wife died of influenza.
Yeah.
And then my grandfather's brother took one name,
Mm-hmm.
which was Henwood, which was not really the real name. It was probably he was going to be arrested by a cop in the train yard,
Yeah.
and he saw a chicken sitting on some wood. He said, "My name is Henwood." And there was a Henwood family that I think adopted it. Anyway, but my grandfather finally went to live with the Van Loos. So his mother was a Van Loo, and Lizzie Van Loo's brother. And then he went to live with the Mrs. Van Allen, who was his grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
And he took her name. Everybody was picking and choosing names.
Yeah.
And what church are we going to go to? My grandfather went to every church, choosing his religion.
Yeah.
He went to all the denominations, including Jewish,
There you go.
just to figure out what
My
church
kind of people.
what church he liked. But he settled on Episcopalian.
That's
Whatever.
a good religion. They were very
But anyway, there's more to it.
I went to an Episcopalian service in college, and it was just like a Catholic service.
It's very
It's you would if you would just just wander in, you'd think you were there. Yeah.
Well,
except the priests get to marry.
Yeah, that's right. It's a much better deal. But they, my ex-wife was Catholic.
Yeah.
She and her grandmother, and they had a nickname for Episcopalians.
What?
They called us bastard Catholics.
I've heard
because of what Henry VIII did, you know.
Yeah.
He formed the church so he could get a divorce.
That's right.
Several divorces. Chop off heads.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The Man for All Seasons.
And this is how England was born.
Yes. Man for All Seasons.
Very interesting.
Now, Man for All Seasons. You ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great play, too. I've never seen the play.
Is that about
Sir Thomas More?
More or Beckett? Oh, Beckett. More, yeah.
Yeah, he was the guy who created the idea of a utopia. And Sir Thomas More,
yeah, I remember that.
Also remained a Catholic, and Henry VIII, ordered him to convert. He didn't convert, and he got beheaded at the end.
Who stars in that movie? It's
Paul Scofield.
Is that
but there's a TV version, believe it or not, with Charlton Heston.
There's a big epic movie of it. Oh, really?
Well, yeah. Well, let me tell you something. And this is, you're gonna love this. That there is a belief that to become, he's a saint, Thomas More. And he said, well, what did he do that, you have to have miracles to be a saint? Well, they said, well, there was 3 miracles that he committed, Sir Thomas More, and this is what happened. There was nothing really miraculous about his life other than he survived
English politics.
Yeah, well, no, he got beheaded. He didn't survive. But what happened was when he got beheaded,
his head went around in circles.
The Pope at the time, when he became a saint, said, well, the 3 miracles that Sir Thomas More committed was his head bounced 3 times on the ground and a spring of water came up. If you dig high enough down far enough,
how long did they dig to come up with that?
Let me tell you something.
Well, yeah, but Blackbeard the pirate
is
said to have, when they killed him, cut off his head, he fell off the boat and swam around the boat 3 times down at Ocracoke. Now he should be a saint.
He should be a saint too.
Saint Blackbeard.
But let's face it, there was such a probably they wanted to make a martyr like Sir Thomas More a saint, more so than some secluded priest that never talked to anyone for 50 years, and they make him a saint because they think of him as someone holy. But Sir Thomas More actually did something for the church.
A lot of times it's politics. You pay enough money to the church and they make you a saint.
Yeah.
But I've got a relative who's in Westminster Abbey.
There you go.
And
the Poets' Corner?
No, it's General James Fleming.
Okay.
Who fought in the Battle of Blenheim.
Okay.
And
what war was that?
Oh, the Battle of
Trafalgar?
No, it's back in the 1600s. It's a very important war. Was
the
War of the Roses?
War of the Roses, okay.
I don't know. I know it was the Battle of Blenheim. And there was a good poem written about that. But anyway...
all those wars.
But he had a friend who was wealthy, and he had provided a service to the crown as in the battle and all that. So he shares a statue with this other guy, and his name is on there.
Yes.
And we went there when we went to England, and because my grandmother gave us this oral history about General James Fleming, and then it was a couple of these great comedian comedy team, like a couple of vergers. You know what a verger is?
No, a verger
in the
world of comedy.
No, in the world of cathedrals. But they were comedians.
I never found cathedrals all that fun.
Well, these guys were comedians. They were like guys that take care of the church. You know, almost like not janitors, but they kind of look after things and lead people. Where do you want to go? Oh, it's over here. And then there's, no, don't listen to him. His head's full of stuffing. He's full
of rubbish.
He's thought he's been educated by went to Eton, but he really just used his feet and this is all. And they were like, there used to be a term called frickin' frack.
I remember. They were a comedy team.
Well, I didn't know they were actual well, they were like frickin' frack.
Yeah.
And they were funny as hell.
Yeah.
And they showed us our ancestor where he was buried. They moved the kneeling thing up by the altar. There was a kneeling thing, and there was a stone in the floor that big, and they crammed the bones down in there and had his name on it.
Oh wow.
But so we had the sculpture
Mm-hmm.
where he shared, his name appeared on the sculpture on the big thing on the one side, and then that bone box.
All right.
So
The bone. That's where the bone box comes from.
That's what a bone box. Well, even
The bone box.
even Jesus was buried in a bone box,
Okay.
according to the
sepulcher.
No, the Jesus family tomb, which was these scholars in Israel have found, and they did a great documentary and a book on it, and we can talk about it sometime. But James Cameron helped fund the thing. The guy that did Titanic. Yeah, well, he put money into the thing, and it's really it's fascinating. They found this tomb with the name of the families: Jesus, Jeshua, Jesus, son of Joseph, and all these things, and it all lined up. And they looked at the probabilities, and they couldn't. It was a far probability that this wasn't the one, because he actually has a wife. They called
Jesus.
It says Magdalene.
Yeah.
Marimani.
Because there's all this talk over.
But he was actually, according to this,
a lot about that.
And they had a son named Jeshua or Jesus. Anyway, the interesting thing is the Knights Templar found this place back during the Crusades.
Yes.
And they left their skulls. There was certain signs that the Knights Templar would leave when they opened up the tomb, and they left a skull in each corner.
Yeah.
And that was the sign that they were here, and to leave it alone, whatever. And so they found all the bodies, the bones in the boxes of the whole family.
Yeah.
And the box that had Jesus' name on it was empty.
Oh.
So we keep the legend alive.
He ascended.
He ascended. Or else he ended up in Afghanistan. They believe he's buried in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I post documentaries about this from time to time.
Yeah.
I won't go into all that, but it's very
interesting.
Yeah.
My mom. Too bad all that stuff happened before they could do really good historical preservation and record.
Yeah, well, the thing about the Christians...
2,000 years is hard.
I didn't mean to get religious, but I mean, the thing about...
I love talking about religion.
Yeah, oh, that's where we're from. But Christianity is a mystery religion. It's a mysterious religion. There's a whole lot of contradiction in the Bible. There's a whole lot of things you know and a whole lot of things you don't know, and what is this? And what it does, as opposed to Islam, which is very clear. It says, this is what you do. This, and you shall not do anything else. Yeah. That's why you get into those things with Islam. You can't make any mistakes. But Christianity, with all its
they forgive you more.
No, I mean, well, that's in there, but I mean, with all the confluence, the confusion, and all this, it encourages people to argue and think and try to figure things out, and which is good. Yeah, that's why there's so many different.
The Torah is like that.
So many different types of Christian. Yeah.
But
have you read very much of the Torah? Well, it's the old. Well, it's the Old Testament, but there's
it's not in the original Hebrew.
Yeah, but there's some more stuff than.
Yeah. Let me tell you. The from what I gather,
but you're half Irish, so you read it.
I know.
You read it like this: "Have faith in God, Yahweh."
No, let me tell you. There was. This is where I see the Bible, is that you have the Old Testament, and the books in the stories in the Old Testament are like, unforgiving, an eye for an eye, the 10 Commandments.
Oh God,
thou shalt not do this. Begat all
God
this.
Of wrath. Yeah,
and then then when Christianity came, the New Testament, that was sort of an antidote to the Old Testament. God was forgiving. God turned the other cheek.
Yeah, but as the Hebrew stuff,
blessed are the peacemakers.
But as the Hebrew stuff evolved, it got more and more refined towards the end of the Torah or the Old Testament, Elijah and all that. It's not in the book of Ecclesiastes. I think is one of the most beautiful things. Of course, they made a hit song out of it. Do everything, turn. There is a sea. And
that's right.
But the earlier part is much more strange and not iconic, but very
Like the Book of Genesis.
well, just the Book of Genesis, and yeah, it's very contrasty with a lot of crazy biblical things happening. But a lot of that comes from the Babylonians. They found.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they like the thing about Noah.
Yeah.
Was true in the Babylonians and the Phoenicians.
Yeah.
I don't know about Phoenicians. The Ur people from Ur of Chaldees.
Okay.
What do you call that?
The Urs?
The Ur people. My words aren't working tonight, folks.
You want me a test on this?
I spent a lot of time making props.
Oh yeah, we're
going to get to that. But we're moving in that direction.
I mentioned A Man for All Seasons. Now we were talking before this. We were talking about plays and shows, and you used to go to see the plays. Are you?
Richmond has been a play place for a long time, and I grew up in the middle of it. It's a theatrical town. It always has been, at least from my growing up. And there was the Swift Creek Mill Playhouse.
Yes.
There was the Virginia Museum Playhouse.
That was a good one.
And
they were all good.
There was the Barn. There was a lot of them. And there was some very good acting and plays there. I saw a lot of Neil Simon. I grew up on a lot of that.
Wasn't that great?
But not only comedy, there was great dramas too, but a whole lot of good comedy.
Yes.
And then Lewis, what's his name? Lewis Rubin was one of the. He was a doctor, and he played in the last of the Red Hot Lovers.
Yes.
And they also did a Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Farm.
Oh yeah.
And all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
But we were a bunch of culture vultures in our Episcopal church.
Yeah.
And Virginia Chapman, we called her Virginia Chap Person. That's my dad kidded her. But she would kind of round us all up. We'd go to these plays and classical music concerts. Jacques Outman would be conducting.
Yes.
And I once nearly shared a urinal with Jacques Outman. I was in the area, so that was a big thrill.
He's a Frenchman.
Took him a while to zip it up.
Did you know that
he was good, very good conductor. They used to make fun of him. He's too flamboyant. He's a very good conductor.
I remember
I loved
Jacques was. I remember a guy before him, Schenkman or something, and he was
Schenkman.
He was before Jacques. He wasn't there for very long, but his grandson was with a band called They had a song called about a pocket full of kryptonite. Yeah, and his grandson was in that band. Yeah, and then
when did this happen? That sounds like
that's back in the 90s.
A 90s thing.
But then after Jacques Outman, there was a guy called George Manahan.
Yeah,
and
Outman would come back to visit, but
they all come back.
But he was back in the 60s and 70s. It was all Outman.
You know, when these conductors quit, they don't really quit like they walk off a job like most people. They actually, it's like 2 or 3 years before they have to get all the whole thing has been picked ahead of time, the symphony has to find a new guy, and a lot of these guys
they come in as a visiting conductor,
and he comes back. And Leonard Bernstein was constantly coming back to the New York Philharmonic years after he left.
And they got to have a name guy. They couldn't let the first violinist do it, even though the first violinist they call him the concert master. And he could probably do it just as well. But he's the guy that gets everybody in tune.
Yeah.
The first violinist, they call him the concert master.
Yeah.
In the days of Mozart and all that, they didn't have conductors.
No.
He would get up and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sit down and play. It was kind of like Lawrence Welk.
A 1 and a 2. And we're going to listen to a whole group of a medley from songs from World War II.
Yeah.
We got to play the polka now.
Yes, all right.
It's like Robin Williams.
Okay, everybody pee. everybody pee on your tongue. That's what the Lennon sisters used to say.
You know that the Lennon sisters, sadly, their father, there was this. Their father was murdered by a stalker who was like had a weird connection to the Lennon sisters. He was a weirdo. And what happened was, John Lennon also was killed by a stalker. Isn't that weird? Weird coincidence. Only 2 celebrities I could think of, and they both named Lennon.
And I was almost killed the very same night at about the same time as John Lennon.
This 1980. What were you up to?
I was up in the air over the Gulf of Mexico in a small plywood plane.
Yeah.
My boss, Greg Fox, in New Orleans, I was making animated cartoons. Greg Fox was a great guy, but he was kind of one of these wheeler-dealer types. He'd say, Van Allen, we're going to make a Christmas commercial. Sit down and start drawing Santa Claus and shit like that, and I'll get back to you. Well, that's the way he talks.
Christmas,
and I
don't know that Christmas.
I was shocked at first because I was from Virginia and that part of the South, which was
New Orleans,
very refined. But then I went down to New Orleans, and they're kind of wild and crazy down there. And he'd say things like "shit fire" and "save matches," and I never cussed until I got married and came down there.
And you learned.
Yeah.
There's always an outlet.
But at first I was kind of like this about the guy, but he was a good guy, and he kept the place going. And but he owed money to a lot of people.
Oh, you don't want that.
And well, animation's a hard business, but he
follow the money.
And he got to the point where we couldn't get our film developed in New Orleans because he owed too much money to the production houses, to the film places. And so we had to go down to Florida.
Yeah.
And Greg had a plane. He had his own little plywood single-engine plane.
Yeah.
And so we, 4 of us, got into the thing and took off one evening, and it was into the night, and going over the Gulf of Mexico, and in the beautiful moon shining on the Gulf of Mexico.
December.
Wiping. Yeah. And down there, it's not that cold, but it was cool. But anyway, it was what a scene. The Gulf of Mexico and the moon reflecting in the water and all that. I later used that in a piece of art, but right then we're riding along, nothing. And Greg started fiddling with the switches, nothing. And let me tell you, a sense of loneliness and nothingness and what's going to happen you've never had till you're in a little plane like that. And he kept flitting. He said, well, try the other tank. Finally, after about 3 minutes,
you were just coasting.
Oh man!
Yeah.
So we got on down, and we got to the nearest airport we could get to, and the sun was coming up, and there was like a Ford Tri-Motor. You remember the old Ford Tri-Motor?
Oh, of course. I don't remember. I don't even know.
Well, there were early passenger plane from the 30s.
I was never on a plane until I was about 45 years old.
It had three props and a great big wing like a Piper Cub. It was one of the earliest passenger planes.
Okay.
I got out of his plane and I saw that, and I could only think, I wish the hell I'd been on that. And it was almost like kiss the ground, kiss the tarmac, and then we went on inside to the little lobby thing there. Not too big an airport, but it had a nice little lobby. And there not the record player, the TV was John Lennon has been shot.
I'm glad.
And so it's like I almost got shot. Yeah. Same down he got shot, but he got shot. It was weird.
I'm glad you didn't, because you would have just been a small thing in the paper. While big hat never die the same day a famous person dies. Well, no one will remember.
I've always, at that time, I didn't think a lot of John Lennon. I liked Paul and the other guys, but Lennon was a little too raucous for my taste. But I got to know and love John after that.
No, we are.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about plays. Now, you're a good actor. I've seen you in shows. Have you been in, what plays have you been in?
Well, the first play I was ever in was a semi-professional play called No Sex Please, We're British.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, and it was for the Fort Lee Theater.
Yes.
And we got paid, well, not much, but it was a big theater. Big. It was like 400 people in there, and we played 3 or 4 nights, and it was real successful. And I played an older guy being chased by prostitutes, and it was
a comedy.
Yeah, it's a.
I mean, don't think it was
it's a
slice of life type.
It's a farce, and you're in and out of slamming doors like that. And Otto Needham from head office shows up, and it's about these bankers, right? And this characters. I worked with English actors too, and they had one character had hired a couple of prostitutes, so he had a big idea of something that they were coming to the house. But this guy came to inspect the books on that very night when all this weird stuff was going on. He says, "Hello, I'm Otto Needham. I'm here to inspect the books." The books, all this stuff. And I got thrown in with these prostitutes locked up in a closet, and then they're chasing me around, and I'm jumping over the rail of the stairs and landing on the couch. I was pretty young then, and I did a lot of good stunts.
Somersaults.
But I was dressed. I did my own makeup. I looked like I was 60 years old. But and then after the show, this gorgeous woman in mink wanted to meet me.
All right.
And I was going out I was going out to dinner with my parents, and I was like, Keith, are you coming?
Can I, Mom, Dad? Can I bring a +1?
Yeah, I'll never forget that. But that was my first play almost I'd ever been in, other than a little bit in English class.
Yeah, English.
I did Lenny and of Mice and Men.
Oh yeah,
up in front of the blackboard.
Yeah.
Hey George. Gee, George, you get to go to town and raise hell in a whorehouse.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the movie, but
I've seen the play.
I had never seen Lon Chaney do it, but somehow I knew Lon Chaney did it. I'd seen cartoon characters. Hey George, hey, talk like this.
He does it in the movie.
Huh?
He does it in the movie. Lon Chaney, not Lon Chaney in the movie.
I know, but I'd never seen the Lon Chaney movie at that point.
Oh, at that point. Okay.
I'd just seen Tex Avery cartoons.
Yeah.
They always like, hey George.
Yeah.
And I knew that was a thing. A meme, I guess we call it.
Do you know that
I hate the word meme.
I never use it. I don't even know.
I don't know what else to use.
I don't sing those songs. I don't even know the words.
Well, it's a useful word, but I don't like the sound of it. It's like a Three Stooges sounds like.
The Three Stooges.
Don't they go?
Yeah.
I think they do.
Let me tell you about you. Oh, if you ever get a chance to look at all the wonderful movies he puts up, Keith had the Three Stooges and meets Paul Winchell yesterday.
Well, that didn't work.
Oh, okay.
All I got is the poster. I couldn't get the movie.
You didn't miss anything.
But I did put up an episode of the Jerry Mahoney Show.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yes.
And Jerry Mahoney and Paul Winchell appearing on the Lucy Show.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
60s,
if you scroll up a little bit, you see that was pretty funny.
Paul Winchell, I remember, I was a big fan of the Banana Splits. Was the voice of Fleegle.
He was.
Yeah.
Well, he also did Tigger.
He did Tigger. Yeah.
But
if you don't know, he was this great ventriloquist.
Well,
and tell about
he was the greatest. Now, Edgar Bergen is famous for it, but he did get sloppy in radio, and so when he performed after that, his mouth, you could see his mouth moving.
Yeah.
But Paul Winchell is amazing, and if you want to try to learn ventriloquism, look at him. You gotta talk like you gotta talk like this, and just say your M's and D's and T's inside your mouth. But he's got a muscular.
Yeah.
He does it, and then he does these routines where they're moving around with their hands, and he's over here. Now, how he does that? He has a couple.
In a movie or on TV, they probably have stagehands help.
Well, he has a couple.
He's still doing the voice.
No, he has a couple of puppeteers in there. But how does he do the lip sync? They must rehearse and rehearse and rehearse because he's over here doing the voice. He's not touching their body.
Yeah. Well, But
they keep it in sync. And all I can say is, and then you look at his throat muscles, you can tell he's doing the voice.
Yeah.
But they must have really got tight rehearsals, so those lip syncs are great.
Let me tell you, I loved ventriloquism when I was a kid. And I would send away for stuff in the backs of comic books. Ventriloquism made easy. Guess what? It's not easy. No. And basically all you got was this little thing to stick in the back of your throat that you might choke on. That you could whistle. But it never really...
Yeah.
But I did my best. I was more into the comedy part.
You got to learn how to make your tongue sound like M's, B's, and P's.
Yes.
That's the hardest part. You got to go, Minnesota, Baltimore, and Poughkeepsie. You say Minnesota, Baltimore, and Poughkeepsie real fast and not look like you're moving your lips, you've got it.
There's always little kids in my family, and I mean, there's grandchildren and everything, nieces and everything, and I'm sort of the crazy uncle, and I would always put them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never would have thought that. I never would have believed.
I would put the baby or the 2-year-old on my knee and say, "Well, how are you today?" And I'm doing fine. How are you doing? And they would just they didn't know anything about ventriloquism. They thought I was inventing a new art form.
I wouldn't even bother. My characters around here, but anyway,
Yeah.
I would just go ahead and do it and not even try. I would just talk it and do voices, and they'd be so busy looking at the thing.
Trouble when I did ventriloquism. I know what I hate about doing ventriloquism is that when you're doing this. Then a lot of the kids will look at your mouth instead of looking at look at the puppet, look at the puppet. Don't worry about me moving my lips. I'm not Edgar Bergen.
I love lip sync. I did it in animation. I was one of the best lip sync animators anywhere. And you just kind of start talking like that because I spent half my youth making hand puppets in bed or laying on the couch. Going, hello, how you doing? Or Walter Cronkite would be talking, and I'd do Walter Cronkite, and then I'd have another hand for Eric Several Sides, and I'd make a different character. Help me real well, Eric Several Sides. And Eric, I have to disagree. Well, I don't know, and I'd do that.
So that's the way it was.
But yeah. But one thing you got to know, most people, even Disney animators, don't do it right. They draw it right, but they don't place it on the exposure sheet right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you this tip. Light travels faster than sound.
Yes.
And I figured that out. And if I drew something in animation, like either a lips moving or a hammer hitting or whatever sound it was going to be, and if I made the drawing appear one frame ahead of the sound effect, it looked real.
Yeah.
Because that's the way we perceive it in life. Right. It's like the drum you see off in the middle of the football field.
Yes.
It goes boom.
I know it never sounds right.
Yeah, because, I mean...
Or never looks right. Yeah. Especially if you have a big screen.
Sound only travels about 285 feet per second. And light travels 186,000 miles per second, which is bringing us to our main topic.
Oh,
the theory of not yet.
Okay,
theory of relativity. We're going to get serious and talk about the theory of relativity by Mr. Einstein.
Right. Theory of relativity. That's every time I go on a job.
I got toys over here.
Theory of relativity. The nepotism always. My chance of a job goes into the toilet. Anyway, I saw the first time I ever knew what you were talking about, but the sound and the sight was that, and the speed of it was I never saw this before. It was I went to see Bruce Springsteen. It was like I think they said 100,000 people were there on this big, and you see him on this big screen. He comes, starts playing, and then you hear, and I was in the back. I wasn't there, near the front, so I was in the back because that was where my ticket was. I was way in the back, and then you see him on the screen, and you hear him playing when he first comes out, and then you hear the sound after him, and they said, "Wait a minute, is he lip syncing or something, or they got the lip syncing wrong?" But actually, it was just that I saw him on the big screen before the sound came to my back.
Even in the Bird Theater, the organ in the Bird Theater, I was involved with the historic preservation. I belonged to the group that did that for a while. It's very nice. And I played keyboard, but I got a chance to finally get on the Great Wurlitzer.
Yeah.
And play around on it one time. They let me do it. And I couldn't do it because there's a sound delay.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big place.
Oh, you couldn't hear it.
You hit the key and then they go. How those guys
10 seconds later you hear it.
Yeah, how those guys get used to that. The guy told me, the guy that played it, he just get used to that. Oh man. I never could. But that's sound and the universe and all the energy and the stuff that goes around. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But what are we like on time?
We got 30. We're 35 minutes.
Okay.
Well, we got a few more.
Well, the thing about time, and I got a thing about. I love Einstein. They put him on the T-shirts. Yeah. He was a great guy. Played the fiddle in Mozart. He did do E=mc², which worked because it went kaboom, made the atomic bombs. we can be thankful for that. But no, he was a great guy, very smart guy. But this thing about the theory of relativity, I got a big beef about.
Oh, okay.
It ain't
a beef you have.
It ain't necessarily so. And even Einstein himself, in his book, I've got his book, his 2 little books explaining it for the layman. I can't do the math, but he explains it very well. It's all about, he keeps saying appears to be, and that's the key word. If light is approaching a spaceship, and you're in outer space, and your spaceship is approaching the speed of light, a clock on the wall in the spaceship will appear to slow down or do something weird. It'll probably melt or whatever. Anyway, but that's because that works only if the porthole that you're seeing the clock through, the light, is coming from a star outside the rocket ship and in through the porthole. Because that light we're catching up to. You know, it's going fast. Light goes so damn fast, but now this rocket is almost catching up to it. So naturally, it would start to do something weird. It's like a Doppler effect. You know what a Doppler effect?
Oh yeah.
You know, sound. Ding,
ding, ding, ding, ding, ding, ding. Hear it on the Doppler radar on the.
Yeah, or when you're on a train and you pass one of those, the crossing, it goes ding, 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 ding. The sound bends.
Yeah, it bends. Yeah.
Because
it refracts.
Yeah, because the sound is trying to catch up with you, and you're moving away from the sound, and it's either ding, 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 ding. It's either getting closer and it goes up, or it's getting away and you're going down. And the light is doing the same thing in that daggone spaceship. But if you look at another clock over in the shadow of the spaceship, illuminated by the light, the overhead bulb or dome light of the rocket ship, that wouldn't change at all. Because that light is coming from, it's traveling with you at the speed of light. And then they, so it's just a special effect. It's just an optical illusion. It's a really fantastic, kind of cool, complicated optical illusions that he's describing, but it has nothing to do with traveling in time. If you could do that and then come back to Earth, the man was doing this and you'd somehow come back younger.
I always saw that.
I mean, your body would still know the difference.
The Disney documentaries, cartoons, they show this. They show the guy
Fleischer made one back in the 20s.
Maybe it was that. It was where he flew around for like 80 years. He came out. He was like 3 years older, while the other guy was on Earth. He was at somewhere. Interstellar. I saw that movie where like 10 minutes is like 20 years or something.
They pull the wool over everybody's eyes with this
couldn't make head or tail of that
theory of relativity thing because nobody can understand it. So they don't understand it. So they say, "Oh wow."
How profound.
Even Einstein himself, in his book, says there's only 11 people in the world that can understand.
I'm one of them. Yeah. You and I and Einstein.
He was an eccentric guy, and I like the guy a whole lot, but that relativity.
I'm getting the Einstein hair.
But I'm going to demonstrate over here at I've set up a demonstration.
Okay.
Which I had Martha Stewart in here to help do it.
Oh, great.
No, she's going to make a cake of the whole thing.
Get her before they lead her away in handcuffs. Now,
I think she got out.
Okay, I think I know a little bit about E is energy, right?
E equals matter times the speed of light squared. And how that works out, I don't know. And how that translates into an atomic bomb, I don't know.
Well, I think.
But that worked.
He wasn't really with the Manhattan. He was sort of on the.
No,
periphery.
But they used his
theories.
Yeah. No, it was Oppenheimer and all those guys.
Those were the real guys.
Yeah. I went with a girl. Who grew up.
At Los Alamos.
Yeah. Her father worked at Los Alamos.
Yeah.
Los Alamos.
Wow.
And
strange place
in
Mexico. Yeah. They have Area 51. And they have the Manhattan Project.
But I've traveled back.
Talk about land of enchantment.
I think you can travel through time in the metaphysical world, and I've done it.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I've done something that really looks like it. I got into psychic stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to get overly into that, but when I was about 14, I had a real powerful experience having to do with my cousin. and my cousin, we were real close. He lived up the country. We all liked Andy, and he was an outdoors kind of guy. He became a forest ranger, and he rode horses. And one time, his horse slipped on the ice, and he fell over, and he was almost died. He had a concussion and all this on his head. And that happened in like November or something like that. But in August, previous to that, around my birthday time, August, I was laying here on the bed and dozing and napping, and I had this wild dream where I went out of my body and went all the way up to Scottsville, to the old family home.
Yeah.
And I was floating in and came in through the ceiling. And there was Andy on the bed with blood on his head. Ooh. And his mother and his sister, my cousin, sitting around him, worrying over whether he was going to live or not. And I stayed up by the corner of the
You had the out-of-body experience.
Huh?
It seems like you had the out-of-body experience. And
I did. No, he was in real life.
And he was,
Well, wait a minute. Let me tell you the outcome of this. Nothing had happened to him yet.
Yeah. It was in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 3 months later, he did.
Yeah.
But I was floating up there around the top corner of the room where the ceiling meets the wall. Was the corner up there. But I was floating up there, and around me were a bunch of other people, and they felt like family. They were like ancestors.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know their faces, but they felt like family, like the old great-grandfathers and people in my family. And they felt a good, warm, powerful feeling. And then it was like praying, but it wasn't saying words. It was just pouring energy into Cousin Andy.
Yeah.
It was like, and we were sweating and working really hard.
Yeah.
It was like pouring energy, trying to help Andy. And it was hard work. And it made you sweat. And it was like we were there for an hour. It felt like an hour. And then we knew he was going to be all right. And then I went back. And I went coming all the way back to Richmond. And then, whoa! And
it was a dream.
Yeah. Well, but it was a very,
a vivid dream.
Lucid.
Yeah.
Lucid dreaming. Very realistic.
Yeah.
And I was back in my bed, and I woke up, and I was guilty. I was so guilty that I dreamed something
horrific
about poor Andy. I said, whoa. And I remember it was the afternoon. I got out and looked out the window right here, and beautiful day. But I felt so weird about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And finally, you brush it aside. But then 3 months later, he fell off the horse and hit his head, and they didn't know if he was going to live or die. He was in a coma. But then finally he came out of it, and I think he lost his sense of smell.
Yeah.
But that happened.
Is he still with us?
No, he died a few years ago from a stroke.
Okay.
But he was...
he lived a long time?
Yeah, he had a good life, but he also had hard luck and stuff like this.
Yeah.
His daughter is alive, and she had a spinal injury. She was in the hospital the same time, in the same hospital with Superman.
Oh, Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, they were in the same hospital with
Charlottesville
with a similar injury. They had almost the same injury. Yeah, and they were down the hall from each other.
Yeah.
All these things, but anyway, Andy. That thing with Andy was so weird. What happened? It's like I went forward in time and saw something that was going to happen and came back and actually helped change the outcome with the help of my ancestors.
You did good work.
I mean, but I did actually see the thing. Now, I can't prove it in court. You have to take my word for it. But the universe is strange.
I'll tell you one thing. You mentioned Christopher Reeve, and you mentioned your cousin Andy falling off a horse. And Christopher Reeve. That's why I've never gotten on a damn horse. I've never ridden. I've only been on it with a guy. You mean I've never went horseback.
Trail horses.
Trail horses. Yeah.
I've been a little bit afraid of them too, but I like them. And one time, my ex-wife used to brag about what a great horsewoman she was, and I'm a great horsewoman. You can't do anything on a horse. And one time we got on the horses down in New Orleans at City Park.
Yeah.
And they gave her an old nag and wouldn't do anything. They gave me Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll.
which was he was ready to go. He was a beautiful roan red horse, and they gave me Jelly Roll, and I petted him, and we got on, and he took off running, and I was galloping. I'd never galloped in my life, but all I did was pretend I was John Wayne.
Yeah.
And I went and I had to duck under a limb.
Yeah.
And then finally I said, well, I got to make him stop sometime. So what does John Wayne do? I go, whoa. And it worked.
Whoa, Pilgrim.
But I'll never forget that. I felt so free and alive.
Yeah.
And on that horse.
Yeah. Oh, we should
never. Yeah.
we should do our experiment.
Let's do our experiment.
All right. You
talking about the theory of relativity. Help me with this. Help me. We might have to move
I'm
the
a guest
light.
here. I don't know what to do.
You don't know what to do. We might have to move the light or move the camera for sure.
Oh, we're moving the camera.
But the light, we may have to move that.
You want to hold it? Or you want to hold it?
Well, I want to make sure it's showing up. Can you see anything on there?
Yeah. Just let me.
Well, we can.
Wait a minute. Looks good now. Looks good there.
I can't see.
I think
Yeah, but it's kind of dark.
Okay. Wait. I'll take it
Well,
off.
we can move the light over here. You see, we can hang.
Wait a minute. I can do it. I can do
Yeah,
it.
come over here.
Wait a minute. Look what I'm doing.
All right, come over here and hold it. Yeah, there's we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Now you run the show here.
Okay.
I'll be the lighting man.
Now here's a. Can you see it on there? Can you see?
You gotta see it. I'm just the light guy.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm seeing.
All right, there's a train. All right, can you see the train? Okay. And then another example Einstein likes to use is the moving train, and somebody throws a ball
Yeah.
on a moving train,
Yeah.
and
Tell me who are these passengers that are on this train for starters?
we're not standing up to one. Well,
They're not a bunch of stand-up.
this is
It's a real House of Cards. This is.
I wish we could edit the damn TV show.
If ifs and ands were pots and pans, there'd be no work for Tinker's hands.
You're a wealth of soliloquisms. Quisms that are silly. Quisms that are silly.
Did you call me a quisling?
Yeah, something of that.
All right.
Is that from the
That's from
The Hobbit or something?
no. Quisling is a serious guy. He was a trader during World War II for Norway, and he got his when the war was over.
Okay, so
here we go. Well, could I hold it up? Maybe
yeah.
I'll just hold it up. I'll hold up this nice woman here.
So here we have Einstein
Yeah.
on a train
All right.
with his relatives
Yeah. All right.
demonstrating the theory of relativity.
There you go.
And this is Einstein's wife, his first wife.
Yeah.
And she's a little ticked off because they didn't get along too well.
No.
And he was too busy theorizing. And finally they got a divorce.
Mhm.
And she opened a rooming house
Yeah.
in Vienna or somewhere.
Yeah.
And over here are his two brother-in-laws.
I think you have to move the camera for this,
Okay.
or move the train for this. Is that right to move it?
Okay. Over here
Yeah.
are his two brother-in-laws.
Okay. I think that.
All right.
I think that's in the way. Yeah. The
Can you see
train
it?
thing.
Is it
Yeah. Okay.
sure?
You're good. You're
Okay.
good.
His are his two brother-in-laws.
All right.
And since we don't have any images of his brother-in-laws, he had two brother-in-laws, one for the first wife, one for the second wife.
Uh-huh.
I've substituted Frederick Nietzsche and film director Stanley Kubrick.
All right.
So they seemed as good as anything else.
Could have fooled me.
Um,
I know the guy in the middle though, on the postcard.
yeah, that's
So
the.
I wait for the.
that
You
is-
could tell me who that is.
Yeah. Okay, so the train is going by.
Okay.
Let me run it off the tracks. All right, it's going by.
All right.
And if Einstein was to throw, can you see this?
Yeah, we can see it.
Just keep me on camera here.
There you
All
go.
right. If Einstein, keep the light on it. Bring the light
I'm
back
sorry.
here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. If Einstein was to throw a tennis ball
Yeah.
to the back of the train to Kubrick,
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
it would look like to him
Yeah.
he's throwing it back to Kubrick.
Yeah.
But from a viewer on the side, off in the distance, up on the omnipotent mountain of the all-seeing eye.
Yeah.
It could be God. It could be the great rational thinking objective eye, or it could be Salvador Dali, the omnipotent eye of Salvador Dali, which is what I prefer.
You can't miss that mustache. Yeah.
So when you talk about things happening in the theory of relativity, it's all relative, and it's just an optical illusion.
Yeah.
Because what may look weird to you, riding on a rocket ship or whatever, isn't going to be what looks or is actually happening to anybody anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's an optical illusion, nothing else. And so, but omnipotent Dali on the side, up on the mountain, up on his mountain over here, sees the tennis ball being thrown while the train is passing him by at a very great speed.
Yeah.
All right. So to him, the tennis ball looks like it's standing in space.
Yeah.
It's just going up and down.
How about that?
It's just staying in one place.
Yeah.
And so he gets to think, he sees it that way. But does that make time go backwards? Well, maybe it does. Anyway, and
time moves in one direction.
Friedrich Nietzsche
read that on a Christmas card.
Meanwhile, Friedrich Nietzsche, and here's the speed of light. Wow. And they say the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second, and it never changes.
Yeah.
No, it would change.
Yeah.
It's just that it's so damn fast you can't measure the damn thing. I mean, light is made of particles. They prove that. It's particles going through space.
Yeah.
It's just that it's so damn fast you can't measure it. Or maybe they can now. But anyway, it's not. It does change its speed according to certain factors.
Yeah.
But Friedrich Nietzsche, meanwhile, sees a giant rabbit. A giant rabbit passes.
Not the leapus here.
Yeah, a leap of faith. He sees a giant rabbit passing the train.
Yeah.
And he wishes that he had gone into fiction and written Alice in Wonderland instead.
Yes.
But
let me pop up Mr. Kubrick here.
But he didn't.
As if he doesn't. He didn't. As if he needs to be propped up.
Well, wait a minute. I'm gonna have to get over there in a minute.
All right.
But anyway, Nietzsche doesn't do anything about changing his literary career.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect time.
No.
So nothing happens in the future.
No.
You know, if you change something in the past.
Yeah.
But Kubrick, on the other hand, sees all this going on and decides.
There you go. You can go this way.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
I gotta get my little prop over here.
Okay.
Kubrick is affected by all this weirdness going on, and is so affected that he decides to change his movie.
Yes.
The great 2001 Space Odyssey.
Okay. That was a good one.
Ends up coming up with a different ending.
Yes. The baby.
Yeah, because the big baby floating in space.
Oh yeah.
But instead he changes it so that it's Howdy Doody.
Whoa.
And that is my proof of the theory of relativity.
Very good.
Also, if people going by on a bus would see the thing going farther away from them even faster. No, wait a minute. Or would it? Yeah. Be going
Time
like
stands still.
It would kind of catch up with it.
Yes.
And these are full of kids, and they want to go back to the future.
Yeah.
And Michael J. Fox is in there or whatever. So that's my demonstration.
I used to be a hobo on that.
Any question?
I've taken a ride in that
cattle
car.
That's a cattle car.
And then also, no, you're good. And also, what can I say? Also, and of course, there comes a point where he kisses Salvador Dali kisses his wife, and he gets jealous.
That's right. You love that big eyeball. How could you fall in love with a big eyeball and a mustache?
Okay, before we go, who is this guy?
That is Al Simons.
Oh, the great Al Simons.
Yeah, the people around Richmond may know. He was a talented and very funny cartoonist.
Him,
cartoonist.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. Friend of ours.
That's right. He used to come to your parties.
I thought it was Mitch parties. I thought it was Mitch Miller.
He and I kind of started out at the same studio.
Very good.
Steve Siegel's Candy Apple Animation, and he was hanging around there.
Shall we sit down?
Yes.
All right.
I hope you enjoyed that presentation.
I hope you enjoy.
And
it was like Mr. Wizard here.
I'll be taking these on the rounds to corporate get-togethers all over the.
You got it.
City.
You got it. All right.
I hope it showed up.
Oh yeah, I actually supervised all that stuff.
I mean, you could see it in there.
Yeah.
I wish you could figure up a viewfinder on this thing.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, if Ifs and nuts were candy and nuts, every day would be Christmas.
something to that effect. Nips. What is it? Nips and nuts.
If nips and butts were candy and nuts, every day would be Christmas. Confucius say.
Bump.
Remember that when you were a kid? Confucius say.
Confucius say. Yeah, but they were all dirty.
Well, that's what I mean. In fact, I always thought when I was a kid that Confucius just wrote dirty jokes. I didn't know he was actually a great Chinese philosopher.
That's right, yeah. Confucian philosophy is really pretty good. Yeah.
Confucianism, yeah. So we touched everything. Confucianism, the theory of relativity, Islam,
you remember
Judaism. Yeah, there'll be a test later. If you want a $4 transcript from this show,
send us $4
for the McNeil Lehrer report. We'll type it all up for you and everything. And
you
also
transcribe a $4 bill.
Yes, and of course the books you've written. We showed them last week. Oh, you can show them.
I'll do a little plug. Always do a plug.
If you want,
always do a plug. Yeah.
If you want to,
if you have anything to plug, you can plug something. Ezekiel saw a wheel, and
I'll be. I want to be on
some of the weird stuff.
I want to be next week's special guest star of the Van Allen's Attic again.
Yeah,
that's what I'm plugging.
Yes, we will.
Come see it next week. Also, we're going to be on YouTube, and right now we're on Facebook. So lucky people get to see us live
on the radio, on the mesmeric vortex that is elucidating from the Zorkon tube that was invented back in 1920 something. The television
Philo T. Farnsworth.
You got it. But there was another guy too with a Z in his name.
There was actually these days no one person invents anything.
Actually, Tesla invented everything. And Elon Musk.
The days of Thomas Edison.
Tesla invented components that made it possible.
Yeah.
He had a robotic submarine in the 1890s. It's going.
Tesla, yeah. There's a movie with David Bowie. David Bowie as Tesla.
Really?
It's called It's a fiction, but he's a real life guy in it. It's called the Prestige, and Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, I think, are magicians. They're trying to top each other.
There's another movie about Tesla that has Orson Welles playing Westinghouse.
All right.
Because Westinghouse...
He played the whole big washing machine.
Yes, that's right. He could get in it. He could just about get in it and go around and around and say, "This is Orson Welles," spinning around. But, Westinghouse... of course, there was this big war between Westinghouse, Tesla, and Edison back then. And that's how the electric chair came to be.
Yes.
It was formed as a publicity stunt to scare everybody away from alternating current.
Yeah.
And they killed elephants. There's movies.
There's movies. Jumbo.
Yeah, you can get movies of it online. It's
Thomas Edison.
Do not look at it if you're fan
it's like
of
from
art.
the 1890s or something. It's from
it's early movies, and it's terrible.
It's terrible. See, he's gassed.
They shock an elephant, and he just drops.
And he just dropped, and nothing sadder to see.
And it was all to prove.
It
was all to scare the country away from alternating current. This is what big business can get you into. I'm a fan of Edison too. I mean, I've been to his laboratory up there.
Menlo Park.
But when you get out the big bucks going. And alternating current is a much better system. You can send signals, send power over long distances, and to greater degree. The what do you call it? What's the other one?
Alternating
direct current. Yeah, you use that to run little electric trains.
Yeah. Did you know that there is a difference between Edison and Einstein. And one of this shows you how genius is. Edison would be up for like 4 or 5 hours, then take like a 20-minute nap, and he would do this all the time. He would work through the night. Yeah. Einstein, on the other hand, slept half the day. Slept probably 12 hours.
Everybody's brain is different. And also, Tesla just got visions.
Also, did you know that when Einstein died, or before he died, he was asked, "Can you donate your brain to our school?" I think it's somewhere in Colorado.
Princeton? Oh,
no, it's somewhere out west, I think. And they said, "And we want to study your brain to see it. What made your brain different from everyone else's." And he said, "Sure." So when he died, the brain was donated. They checked his brain out. It was no different from anyone else's brain. It's just how much you use it.
Well, it's not just the brain. There's more to thought and creativity than just the brain. The brain is a physical thing, kind of like a computer, but we receive things from the ether, from outer space. Yeah. I mean, from the other realm, the spirit realm that people. Because I know whenever I create something, if I do a good job, most of it's coming from somewhere else. I mean, the technical part of it, yeah, I'm consciously working on, but the idea, a good idea, just kind of hits you, and oh yeah, aha, and you go with it. But it's fed to you by beings or collections of beings in the other realm.
I'm more of a big picture man.
Yeah, I noticed you. I saw you painting your portrait on the side of the building. It was 18 stories high. How do you do that?
It was all done. It was all stick figures. Yeah. Anyway,
murals.
My friend, it was another enlightening show we had.
I hope
we did. And next week we'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Yes.
And I've become like I'm doing quite a few Zoom. I'm trying to be like because of this pandemic and everything. I'm trying to guest on as many Zoom. And I'm trying to be
how do you get on
Facebook Live, all these things. I tell you, I'm trying to be like the the greatest talk show guest lately. I'm trying to be like the Tony Randall of our time. Oh, by the way, speaking of Tony Randall,
but Zoom is like you have to pay for it. Isn't it a corporate
You get
thing?
it for free for the first half hour. The corporate people do it because they want it for longer than a half hour. And anyone who wants to be in a meeting more than a half hour, I have nothing but pity for you. Let me tell you. We could, we were talking about plays. I'll talk about more plays next because I love to talk about the theater. I'm a theater actor. And we should do The Odd Couple. You and I. You could play Felix.
Felix,
and I could play Oscar.
Yes.
Not only that, I tell you how we could do it even better. One night, you play Felix and I play Oscar, and the next night I will play Oscar and you play Felix. I mean, we'll just switch it off every other night.
This will be a challenge.
Or whatever.
We got to get a script.
It's the greatest script in the world.
I got some scripts around here from.
It's not spaghetti. It's pasta.
I got a book. I got a book of those scenes from famous movies and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, we'll do it. We'll do it. Anyway,
download them.
This is Van Allen's Attic, Chapter 3.
It was here.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Hopefully, it's not leaking. Yeah.
And we'll be back next week.
And there you go. Let me play the theme music.
I'll play the theme.
Get out of here with it.
Are we still there? There it is.
There it is.
Very good.
Yeah. Goodbye. And hit the button.
Good night, everyone. In life. There we go. You're good. All right. Okay. Wait a minute. This is very careful. You don't want to push anything because